I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hi, I'm Brian, your friend and jeweler here at Shane Company. Come on in, feel at home, and let's find your dream engagement ring. I'm proud to work for a company that puts customers first and lets them shop the way they want to. See, we believe shopping for an engagement ring should be fun without any of the pressure. We don't work on commission, so finding your dream ring is truly on your terms. We'll be right by your side as your friend and jeweler to help you find a ring more beautiful than you imagined and stick to your budget too. We have all of the styles and all of the smiles. You can even watch our in-house jewelers working their magic inside your neighborhood store. It's that kind of care and craftsmanship that makes Shane Company's free lifetime warranty the best in the business, saving you thousands over time and giving you peace of mind. No appointment necessary, or check us out at shaneco.com. Because a friend knows when you're ready, you're ready. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hey, it's Austin Clark, owner of Moxie Pest Control. You know, most pest control companies use the same products we do. That's not the difference. But what is the difference is how we treat people. At Moxie, kindness counts, and it shows in every visit, every conversation, and every one of the 6,500 plus 5-star Google reviews our customers have written. Our field experts aren't just trained to handle pests. They're trained to treat your home, your family, your pets, and your time with the kind of respect you deserve. And our services come with a pest-free guarantee. Our methods and service just work better because our people are better. So if you want a pest control company you can trust in and around your home, give us a call. We offer same-day services in most cases, and we'll even give you 50% off your first service when you call. Call 888-MOXIE-10. That's 888-MOXIE-10. Moxie Pest Control, the highest and most reviewed pest control company in Arizona.
The summertime deals are still heating up at Mark Kia. Right now, receive 0% APR for up to 60 months on a brand new 2025 Kia EV6.
That's right, 0%. The name to remember, Mark Kia. Mark Kia. This is a deal you've been waiting for.
Offer expires September 2nd, 2025.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe, Phoenix, and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale, Phoenix. It's the lunch break.
We start this week of the lunch break basically where we left things a week ago, or at least when we left this building on Friday. Welcome in to the lunch break Monday edition of the program here on KDUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert with you here for the next 2 hours. Producer Evan, he is behind the glass. He is ready to take all of your phone calls. 480-864-1060 is the phone number for you to join us here today on the program. And let's just jump right into it. We left things on Friday confused. We left things on Friday not knowing how we really felt about what to make of the Arizona Republic story, discussing Ketel Marte and the disgruntledness of his teammates with him. Well, poor play over the weekend for the Diamondbacks allowed us to usher back in that conversation, and that leaves me asking one question. Are the Diamondbacks just a big mess?
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
A bad weekend that basically dashes all of the positivity that we had about this ball club last week. If they were going to go on some miracle run, it very much included playing well over the weekend, but that's not what you want me to weigh in on today. And honestly, it's not what I want to weigh in on today. I don't want to break down the 3 games over the weekend. I want to talk about the big story about this team. And if the losses continue to pile up, as we told you last week, winning cures all. Losing is going to invite this Ketel Marte story to to grow and grow and grow. We're past the trade deadline. Yes. There's only a month and a half of the season to go. Yes. A month and a half is a really long time for a story like this to be lingering over this team. Because it wasn't just the Nick Picoro story last week. Bob Nightingale got in on things. What was it, late Friday night with a story in USA Today? Geraldo Perdomo got involved in this story yesterday after the series finale against the Rockies. It is the story that won't go away. And it's not going to go away until there is a resolution to all of this. Either because they trade Ketel Marte or because they make some major organizational decision that changes the way that clubhouse operates. And we left on Friday and I said, I don't know how I feel. I still don't know how I feel about all of this. I still don't know what the right decision for this club is, because this is only going to get worse before it gets better. If this team continues to lose, if this season continues to be meaningless over the final 2 months, we're going to be talking a lot about Ketel Marte's future. We're going to be talking a lot about Torey Lovullo's future. We're going to be talking a lot about something that I didn't think needed to be said or needed to be discussed. The Diamondbacks have to break up this core. What was the positive out of the deadline? Yeah, you traded Eugenio Suarez. Yes, you traded Josh Naylor. You admitted this season where you spent more money than you've ever spent before was a waste. That was the disappointing part, but there was a silver lining. And that silver lining was you still had 2 MVP candidates. You still had Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte. We checked in with ESPN's top 50 players in all of baseball. Both of those guys, Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll, in the top 20. The Diamondbacks, one of a handful of teams, 5 of them in the sport, that had 2 top 20 baseball players. That's how you quickly turn things around. You have that core to build from. Now, it's fair to wonder aloud if that core still is going to exist going into 2026. It is a fair question to wonder if the Diamondbacks need to reset here a little bit. You've got the leader of the team, a vocal leader of the team in Perdomo, giving a passionate defense of his teammate yesterday. You have earlier on in the weekend a story from Bob Nightingale buried in the middle of his trade deadline grades for all the teams, adding fuel to this fire. And on top of it all, you have a Diamondbacks team that did not play well over the weekend, which also added fuel to the fire. We said on Friday that winning would at least push this to the back burner. You could then address this in the offseason. You could move this to the side if you kept winning and you kept the excitement and buzz around the Diamondbacks playing well since the trade deadline. The Diamondbacks inching closer and closer in the wild card race. Now just 4.5 back, are racing 5.5 games worth of a deficit in just 13 days. If the focus was on all of those things, we could perhaps, convincing ourselves that it's not a big deal, we could push this Ketel Marte thing to the back burner. We could say, we'll worry about that in the winter. That's not really a big deal. We could have convinced ourselves to not worry about it. You ever have that task that you just keep pushing off? You just keep pushing it off. Hey, that's not that big of a deal. I'll get to it when I get to it. Then something else comes up, and now you have to get that task done, and you don't have as much time as you thought you did. That's what losing did for the Arizona Diamondbacks. It brought this front and center. If you're not winning, all the focus can be on, why aren't you winning?
For me, that's me cleaning my room every day. Just keep pushing it back. Keep pushing it back. But now problems are going to come to a head. And when you don't win, it just becomes magnified.
You're not a first thing you do in the morning, make your bed kind of guy?
Nope.
It's the first task I do in the morning.
I'll be honest, I've always wanted to be. I read the book. There's a book out there, Make Your Bed Every Day. Read it. And I don't do it.
I mean, not to get all philosophical here on everybody. I'll give some life advice although I think our audience probably knows this already. It's just an early win in your day.
No, I know. And I honestly, that's going to be my last 3-month resolution here. Starting in September, making my bed every morning.
You know, there's nothing bigger in life than the last 3 months of the year resolution, right? The New Year's resolution, overrated. That where you want to live is, the last 3 months, I'm going to get this done.
I don't really understand the New Year's resolution because everybody says this. You can start slow, but if you finish strong, if you finish the year big, that's a win.
Well, in this case, it would be not starting at all and then finishing on a good note. But yes, there's always that task that you think you can just hold off on dealing with. You can pretend it doesn't exist because there's other more important things on your plate. For the Diamondbacks, the more important thing last week when we first started to talk about this on Friday was they were playing good baseball. They were 9-4 since the trade deadline. They had erased 5.5 games. So we were distracted, rightfully so. We were paying attention to a team that was perhaps at the start of something magical. We were reminded over the weekend why we should have trusted the larger sample size of what this team is. But I do think that all of this noise surrounding the team certainly played a little bit of a role over the weekend. And so now that you went from 4.5 games back to 6.5 games back, you gave up some of the hard work that you did since the trade deadline. We start today back where we finished Friday, talking about this story. And guess what? This is not going away. This is going to be the biggest storyline around this team because it is going to determine their fate for 2026. It is going to determine their fate for 2027. This isn't just about Ketel Marte. This isn't just about Torey Lovullo. This is about a culture, a clubhouse, a vision, a direction that all seems to be up in the air. And depending on what you read or who you hear from, your opinion can go back and forth. My opinion changed multiple times on Friday when we did the show, and a whole weekend transpired, and you're always going to get honesty from me. So what I love about this platform for me is you're going to see in real time me work through it. I don't know how I feel. I don't know what the right thing is for this franchise to do if all of this is really what is going on behind closed doors. And I put all those caveats out there because I hear an impassioned Geraldo Perdomo, and there's one side of my brain that says, would he really do that if that's how things were going behind closed doors? If Ketel Marte was, I'll use Bob Nightingale's word, a diva, would Geraldo Perdomo, the leader of the team, interrupt Torey Lovullo's press conference to make that impassioned speech about leaving Ketel Marte alone? Now, Jerry, it's the media. They're doing their job. They're reporting on things they're hearing. They're always going to continue to do that. But I appreciate the passion and I appreciate the defense of your teammate. So there's one side of my brain that says, man, why would he do that if that was what was going on behind closed doors? And then there's the other part of me, the other side of my brain that looks at this and goes, this just fuels the chaos. This just fuels the circus. Because now the players are fighting back against the media, and now we've got conflict. Now we've got a back and forth that is distracting from the baseball game, that is distracting from the baseball team, that is distracting from the vision of what this team's going to try to accomplish next year to try to set up to go for it again in 2027. So I'm conflicted today. I don't feel any stronger one way or another, but there is a growing pit in my stomach of how this is going to end. And the growing pit that is developing in my stomach more and more that we hear about this is that this team's going to have to get rid of their manager at the end of the season, and they're going to have to trade away Ketel Marte. They're going to have to clean house across the board in order to actually fix this, to actually get to the root of things and make sure that you don't, because the risk you run of trading Ketel and keeping Torey, or firing Torey and keeping Ketel, is you've got a 50-50 chance of fixing the problem. If that's where the problem really is with those two guys. You've got a 50-50 chance of fixing it. Whereas if you get rid of both guys, you can start fresh and know that the problem is gone. Now, again, let me make something very clear. Ketel Marte is a great baseball player. The Diamondbacks, in my opinion, would be foolish to trade Ketel Marte, would be foolish to trade a star player, one of the 20 best players in the sport, the best second baseman in the sport, was an all-star last year, started the all-star game this year for the National League. You don't trade players of that caliber. You don't trade players in their prime that are that good. So let me be on record and say, I don't want this to be the resolution here, but it just feels like it's going to get more confusing. It's going to get more complicated. And the only way to really reset is to get rid of both of them. That's where I stand today on a Monday after thinking about this all weekend. I was away. I was up in Prescott, kind of was away from the phone for a little bit. And I just constantly came back to this point of, I don't know the way out. I don't know what they can do that saves this and keeps both guys here. And then Jerry yesterday kind of adds to it. I love a teammate. I love the leader of the team speaking out and defending his guy. But he also kind of told on himself a little bit. Because Jerry said what was in the past is in the past. Somewhat of an admission that things have been going on behind the scenes that maybe weren't great. Maybe there was some conflict. Maybe there was some disgruntledness between some teammates and Ketel Marte. I just don't know how you come to a resolution here where we start 2026 and Torey Lovello and Ketel Marte are both on this team. That Torey's in the dugout managing and Ketel is playing second base. I just don't see the path right now. Now, maybe over the course of the final month and a half of the season and we get into the winter, we get to that path. But it just felt like a snowball rolling downhill over the weekend here. And oh, by the way, the Diamondbacks had a rough weekend on the baseball field. That didn't help matters. 480-864-1060 is the phone number for you to join us here today on the program. We've also got you over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. John asks what could be a very important question. We'll put a pin in it maybe and get back to it a little bit later. If this is all true about Ketel, who would want that as a contending team? We're going to touch on this a little bit later on. That is a Ketel Marte move inevitable, and we'll read some of the quotes from the Bob Nightingale story that would make you believe that a Ketel Marte move is inevitable. But by saying those things out loud, it further complicates matters. This is a messy situation. It is a messy situation about a very good baseball player that the Diamondbacks would be better off having on their team.
He will be easier to trade than Kevin Durant for the Suns.
That's, of course, you're going to answer the phone. Of course, you're going to listen. You're always going to listen. You should always listen. We believe in that here on this show. Always answer the phone. Just because you answer the phone doesn't mean you're committing to anything. But you always answer the phone. But perhaps it wasn't as simple as that. Perhaps there was a little more in that than we thought at the time, and we're learning why that might have been the case. When we come back, it was a ugly, ugly performance for the Cardinals over the weekend. We'll talk about preseason week number 2. And more importantly, should the Cardinals take the big swing? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS, AM 1060.
James Out West, your home for sports down here in the desert. Join James and Pat the Stat Guy as they recap the weekend and dive deep into the numbers for the NFL, NBA, college sports, and more.
That's 5 seasons of 1,200 yards.
Player stats, team numbers, and contracts are just the start of the discussion for James and Pat.
He started 815 career games. He threw 749 complete games.
There's no hiding when it comes to stats. It's James Out West every Monday night from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Judas Priest and Alice Cooper.
No more, Mr. Nice Guy.
The Metal Gods, Judas Priest. The godfather of shock rock, Alice Cooper. October 22nd, Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater with special guest, Corrosion of Conformity. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Presented by 100.7 KSLX, part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead, like your dog who barks before the doorbell rings. Senses trouble before there's trouble, like advanced security that blocks online threats before they happen and knows when the peanut butter's hiding medicine. That's why we keep surprises off your bill. With Price Lock, the price of your internet and mobile plan won't go up for up to 3 years guaranteed. Rates are Berkelot. Cox, a step ahead. Requires at least 500 megabits per second speeds and gig unlimited mobile. Taxes and fees excluded from Price Lock. Mobile data speeds reduced after 20 gigs.
Come visit the all-new Wekopa Casino Resort, formerly Fort McDowell Casino. Whether you're visiting for slots, table games, the Valley's favorite bingo hall, golf, or food, our new smoke-free casino resort is the place to be. Enjoy a fine dining experience like no other at Ember, or go for the lively crowd at WKP Sportsbook and Bar. Wekopa offers 2 top 10 golf courses in the state. And the Wekopa Casino Resort today. At Wekopa, we have the best of it all.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know it's not just a car, it also drives your children's dreams. So whether you're going to soccer practice, robotics club, or opening night in the school play, we help protect those dreams. American Family Insurance.
Good news, Michigan. 6 on top of you. It's now you forever, Michigan. Contrary to what you think, you are no different or better than the rest. You're actually just like the rest. I'm Jim Rome.
O'Reilly. Stay cool this summer with AC Pro Refrigerant at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get a $15 gift card after rebate with the purchase of select AC Pro Refrigerant products that include a hose and gauge. If your vehicle's AC is blowing hot air, beat the heat with AC Pro. Visit your O'Reilly Auto Parts store or shop online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Attention all clones. The Jim Rome Show is here for you every day here on KDUS AM 1060.
Lots to get done. Welcome to the program.
Listen in as Rome dives into the biggest sports headlines of the day. From final scores, player contracts and trades, team prospects, and even a spicy take or two. The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. every weekday here on KDUS AM 1060.
That's the trick.
Online at KDUS1060.com and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Feel one way or another about the Cardinals backups losing in preseason? Getting blown out by the other backups in Denver 27-7? Should I be concerned about the beginning of the season for the Cardinals now that their backups didn't play particularly well? That Jacoby Brissett and Clayton Tune only had 99 passing yards in the game over the weekend? Yeah, you never want to be embarrassed. But guess what? Jonathan Gannon gave the play calling duties on both sides of the ball to positional coaches. They had all the backups in there. That's not what it's going to look like on Sundays.
I saw a clip of John Gruden this weekend talking about how the Colts were the worst preseason team he has ever seen. And then they would come out with Peyton Manning and win 5 in a row. It does not matter.
If Kyler Murray played a whole preseason game and only had 99 passing yards, be concerned.
I also think Jacoby Brissett didn't look bad.
Jacoby Brissett is there as a break glass in case of emergency option for Kyler Murray on a week-to-week basis, right? If Kyler needs a week for something, you want to have a high-floor backup. That's what Jacoby Brissett is. Don't expect Jacoby Brissett to go out there and put up Joe Burrow numbers. That's just not how this is going to work. Don't get embarrassed. Yes, they were embarrassed over the weekend against Denver and Sean Payton. But that's not a true representation of how this team's going to look. And so I make note of it. It's obviously not great, but I'm ready to move on to week 3 of the preseason. I'm ready to move one step closer to the beginning of the year. I'm not interested in breaking down and dissecting a 27-7 preseason loss with all the backups in. However, I am interested in dissecting the Cincinnati Bengals officially making it known, at least through reporting, that they are taking trade offers on Trey Hendrickson. That is something that I'm interested in diving deep into because we have talked about this all offseason long. With Trey Hendrickson, with Micah Parsons and his ongoing situations, Michael Parsons there in Dallas. We've said, hey, should the Cardinals be interested? Hey, should the Cardinals be jumping all over this? Yeah, they should. They should pick up the phone. Now, producer Evan wanted me to add something to the soundboard. I did not get a chance to add it in before the show started. But we reference phones here on the show so much. You better not have it queued up back there because we cannot play it. We're going to be very careful. Because I will tell you, he wanted, and the cut that we've pulled that I have, I just need to load it into the board here, is safe, but it's from the movie Wolf of Wall Street. So most of that movie we could not quote here on the air, but this one cut of Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Jordan Belfort, talking about pick up the phone and dial. We reference phones and GMs doing stuff all the time that we figured we should get a very good quote from a very good movie on the soundboard. Because that's what the Cardinals should be doing right now. Pick up the phone and dial. Pick up the phone, call up the Cincinnati Bengals, and see what they want.
Do you still need an edge rusher? Pick up the phone and start dialing.
Do you think there are many that understand that reference? I understood it when you did it in the office in the morning meeting this morning, but it is somewhat of a throwaway line. That's not really the part of that speech at the end that people, I think, quote.
I don't think that's the part that stands out or the speech. Like, I feel like there's multiple speeches in that movie.
Well, that speech in particular for the I'm not leaving. That's how that speech starts. That's about as clean as I can say it on the air from that speech in that movie. Great. I love that movie. It is one of my favorite Leo films.
It's perfect.
It is so much fun. It is absolute craziness and anarchy for 2.5, 3 hours, however long it is. And it just goes. There's just never a chance for the movie to breathe.
That's like the movie I have downloaded on my phone. If I'm ever on a plane or anything, that's just the one that I have downloaded there 24/7.
But wait a minute. It's 2025. Most planes, you can just use the free Wi-Fi and watch stuff on there.
Break glass in case of emergency.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. You always got to have a backup plan. You always have to have a backup plan. That's what the Cardinals need to be doing. Picking up the phone, like Leonardo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street being Jordan Belfort. Pick up the phone and dial. Dial Cincinnati and see what they want. Could you imagine a world where it's Josh Sweat on one side and it's Trey Hendrickson on the other side, along with Calais Campbell and Dalvin Tomlinson up the middle? Oh, and by the way, you have Darius Robinson and Walter Nolan. If you want to cement that there is no doubt that this defense has improved, you pick up a guy who had 35 sacks over the last 2 seasons. A guy who 2 years ago led the league in sacks with 17.5 and then did the same thing last year. It just wasn't the league leading number. He has been an extremely productive player. And in this system, with this coordinator, with this head coach, with Josh Sweat as his running mate, what have we said? Josh Sweat's not a top-tier pass rusher. He just raises the floor. You want to raise the floor and the ceiling? You trade for Trey Hendrickson. The Cardinals want to be all in year 3. This is the got to break through year. If I opened up the phones right now and we said we're only taking Cardinals calls today, do you know how many people would call this program and tell me, or over on YouTube, say, got to win a playoff game, got to win a playoff game, Kyler's got to win a playoff game, team's got to win a playoff game, or else everybody's on the hot seat, have to make the playoffs? Do you know what you do in order to cement your spot in the postseason? You leave very little wiggle room. Adding Trey Hendrickson to this defense leaves very little wiggle room in their pass rush, leaves very little wiggle room in their defensive floor. Remove any doubt. If the price makes sense, trading for Trey Hendrickson should be a no-brainer. And not only that, pay him too. Pay him. Have Sweat, have Hendrickson. You have a defensive-minded coach, right? You don't have Sean McVay. You don't have Kyle Shanahan. You don't have Kevin O'Connell. You don't have an offensive genius where you have to get all these weapons because you know that coach is going to be able to do wonders. You have a defensive-minded guy. Give that guy the most talent. This is the way they want to play. Defense first, run first. That's the way they think they can do it. They're from Philadelphia, right? JG from Philadelphia. No offense to you, producer Evan. Jalen Hurts isn't a top 4 quarterback. He's not Burrow. He's not Allen. He's not Jackson. He's not Mahomes, right? They have to win somewhat in a game-managing type way. Defense, running game with Saquon Barkley. Our quarterback makes enough plays. You're telling me that the Cardinals can't emulate that to perfection? They absolutely could.
They totally could. You know how you do that? You know how it starts? You get after the passer.
And you trade for Trey Hendrickson. You trade for Trey Hendrickson. Now, maybe you're keeping an eye on Micah Parsons, whatever Jerry Jones is calling him now, down in Dallas, because that would be the big fish. But you now know Trey Hendrickson is officially available. You at least pick up the phone and dial 480-864-1060. That's the phone number for you to pick up and dial if you want to join us here today on the program. We've also got you over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. Many people still weighing in on Ketel Marte and the Arizona Diamondbacks. So when we come back, we're planning on doing it anyway. We'll read some of the comments from over there. I'll react to those, and we'll try to answer this question. Is a trade of Ketel Marte now inevitable? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KDUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
Hosier presents the Unreal Unearthed Tour 2025, live in Phoenix. Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, October 7th. With special guest, Amble. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The #1 album, Unreal Unearthed, is available everywhere. For more, visit hosier.com.
Stay at the heart of it all with a special Cliff Castle room rate starting at just $99 with no resort fees. Less fees mean more ways to choose your next adventure at the gateway to the region's best gaming, entertainment, and natural wonders. And expect service from the heart as well. We think you'll love your stay with us and all the value we provide, starting at just $99 with no added fees. Cliff Castle Casino Hotel, at the heart of it all. Valid Sunday through Thursday. Some restrictions apply. An enterprise of the Yavapai Apache Nation.
Live the horror at Universal Studios Hollywood Halloween Horror Nights. Select nights September 4th to November 2nd. Face your fears in post-apocalyptic LA and a haunted house based on the hit show Fallout. Don't fall victim to Art the Clown inside a grisly Terrifier haunted house like nothing you've seen before. And that's only 2 of 8 terrifying haunted houses. Grab your tickets now at universalstudioshollywood.com/Halloween. Event not recommended for children under 13.
Okay, quiz fans, what's one word to describe Whataburger's new prickly pear raspberry Whata-Fresher? Is the best word refreshing? Or does the real raspberry make you say tangy? Or perhaps the sweet prickly pear fruit is simply delicious? Actually, the only word to describe it is quenchy, tangy, sweet, delicious. And that may sound like 4 words, but we use hyphens. Introducing new Whataburgers from Whataburger. Whataburger. Available for a limited time.
It's time to head back to school and forward to your future with Carrington College. For over 55 years, we've helped train the next generation of healthcare professionals. Apply now to get hands-on training from teachers with real-world experience. In as few as 9 months, you could start making a difference in healthcare. Classes start soon in Phoenix, Glendale, Mesa, and Tucson. Visit carrington.edu to see what's next for you. Visit carrington.edu/SCI for information on program outcomes.
Hi, I'm Dustin, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. If you're shopping for an engagement ring, we want you to feel like a kid in a candy store. All of our diamonds are in stock, in-store and online, so you get to use your eyes, not your imagination. Come in and look at marquee-shaped diamonds right next to ovals and pears. As your friend and jeweler, you can trust you'll get your dream diamond at an everyday competitive price. We have the widest selection in-store and at shaneco.com, because a friend knows choosing a diamond is personal. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Join in on the Sports Zoo on your ride home from work with Dave Rooster Bierstein. Join Rooster as he lays down what's happening around sports and makes it clear what's on his mind. Oh my. Catch the day's craziest stories and some of the latest numbers from the sports books across the valley. The Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a wild option.
Weekdays 5 to 6 p.m. on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Back here on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060. We got buy or sell coming up in about 15 minutes or so from now. Be closer to 10 minutes or so from now. And then in hour number 2 of the program, Rob Manfred made some interesting comments last night about where baseball could be going here over the next couple of years. And I really want to dive into them to open up hour number 2 of the program because I have a lot of thoughts. I know producer Evan doesn't agree with me in total, I should say, but I'm all for what Rob Manfred said last night about the way baseball could be changing over the next couple of years. So we'll get to all of that here coming up, but diving back into Ketel Marte and what the Diamondbacks are going to do here, because just kind of felt like it piled on last week. On Friday, we mentioned the Nick Picoro story. We dove into that, tried to wrap our mind around that, and then it was Bob Nightingale, USA Today baseball columnist, also getting involved as part of his MLB trade deadline regrades for all of the teams. At the bottom of that story, he had a around the base paths, and the top storyline buried in this piece was about the Arizona Diamondbacks and Ketel Marte. And I don't know how much of this is new. There is one thing that stood out to me, but Nightingale mentioned that they're going to listen on Ketel Marte, saying that he's extremely talented, said he can be a diva in the clubhouse, agitating his teammates and coaching staff. They talked about taking that day off last year, but this was the part that really stood out to me. Quote, the team put him on the restricted list and refused to pay him during his absence. They are referring to the post-All-Star break series against the Cardinals that Ketel missed. Quote, the team put him on the restricted list and refused to pay him during his absence and aired frustrations in a private meeting upon his return. Still, there was no discipline and he was back in the lineup the following day, end quote. So they were angry at Ketel to the point where they didn't pay him during that absence. And then when he came back, there was apparently a private meeting where those frustrations were aired. So this has been brewing behind the scenes for a little bit. And so that leads to this question. Is a trade of Ketel Marte now inevitable? Early into next season, he is going to pick up, and Nightingale points this out in the story, he is going to pick up 10 and 5 rights as a player, meaning he's going to have a full no-trade clause. 10 and 5 is your service time in the league that you spent. I think it's 10 years total, 5 years at least with one team, I believe is the way it breaks down. And so because of that, he then retains the ability to say no to any trade. And so if they're going to move him, and move him anywhere, they'd have to do it this winter, or else they would need to get his approval. But I want to go to something that was said in the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream during the last break. Because Brian, our good friend Brian over there, said something that I thought was really interesting, talking about Ketel Marte. saying most stars have a little diva in them. I don't think Marte is that out of line and isn't a clubhouse cancer. He's too good to trade. Maybe getting a manager that he respects changes the vibe. I agree wholeheartedly with the first part of this. Ketel Marte is not a bad guy. I wouldn't even go as far as to say Ketel Marte is a bad teammate. If you're a bad teammate, if you're a bad guy, is Geraldo Perdomo defending you the way that he did yesterday? I think the answer is no. But it does feel like something is off here. And perhaps it's a little on Ketel, taking that day off last year, taking that time off here going into the All-Star break or coming out of the All-Star break. And maybe it's also on Torrey and leadership there in the Diamondbacks to not maybe try to push him a little bit more, try to get him to play in these games, maybe take a little bit of a tougher line. Again, you will accept a diva as long as you're winning. The example that I would use, Manny Machado in San Diego. You can directly, without knowing it, tell how good or bad a Manny Machado baseball team is, depending on how loud the noise is on Manny Machado's hustle level. If Manny Machado is on a team that's playing well, you don't hear a peep about the way he runs out, in air quotes, some of those grounders. If a team isn't playing well, boy, is it one of the first things people like to talk about. Winning cures all. And right now, they're not winning. They're not meeting expectations. And so, yeah, maybe Ketel Marte is rubbing some people the wrong way.
But let me play devil's advocate on the Machado side of things. Two things. One, have you ever seen Ketel Marte have a group of the entire team together in the dugout telling them they're still in this game in a playoff game? I've seen Manny Machado do that. I've seen him go to a World Series and an NLCS, and I've seen him multiple times lead a team. I don't know if I can say the same for Ketel. We go back to the World Series. Was he the leader of that team? I know Manny Machado was the leader of the Padres team.
I am not comparing the leadership qualities of the two. I'm comparing the outrage that is there between the two. You don't hear a peep. It's selective outrage. People choose to be mad at Manny Machado's hustle level when the Padres are not playing well. Right now, the Padres in the middle of potentially stealing this division away from the Dodgers, right? Everybody thought Dodgers are going to run away with this thing. All that talent. Ohtani back pitching. They get Roki Sasaki. They have Yamamoto. They have Freeman. They have Betts. They're going to run away with this division. This idiot here on this program said that they were going to set the wins record, potentially. That's not going to happen. The Padres potentially are going to win that division from them. You're not talking about Manny Machado, and he's still running out grounders the same way he would if they were 12 games below 500. It is selective outrage. People choose. They pick and choose when something bothers them. The same can be said about people in that clubhouse. When things aren't going well, they may be a little bit more bothered by Ketel Marte not being there coming out of the All-Star break. If the Diamondbacks were 15 games above 500, if they were winning the division, I don't think we hear a peep about this. And so that's why Brian's point is so valid. I don't think Ketel Marte is a clubhouse cancer and he needs to go because it's impacting everybody else. It just feels like there's a little bit of a disconnect here, and they've got to try to get this back on track. Now, Ketel doesn't help himself. The Diamondbacks don't help themselves that Ketel misses one of the games over the weekend. You would think everybody would get together here and say, hey, maybe we play all 3 games over the weekend. Maybe we don't immediately prove right the criticism that everybody has about you.
And at this point, that's becoming a problem with the manager. How does that not come up? How does that not? I mean, he's answering questions on Friday, Thursday, every day up until, and then he takes a game off this weekend. How do you not? Isn't there a point where you sit down in the locker room and say, hey, you can't take one off this weekend. I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course. Like this weekend in particular, when the story is at its peak, when the story is front and center, we're all kind of catching up to this in real time, and you're not going to play over the weekend? It's just a bad look. It's a bad optic. And that's really what most of this is. It's more of a bad optic and a bad look than Ketel Marte being a bad guy, bad teammate. It's just a bad look. Now, this is where all of the people who want me to get on board with a managerial change have been pointing to for years. They don't feel like Torrey is a real leader. I have always couched my defense of Torey Lovullo with this. I cannot defend him returning as the manager if I feel like the clubhouse culture is on shaky ground. That if the culture goes, you now have opened the door for a change. Guess what? That door is open now. That door exists. That door may be wide open at this point. Here's one other thing that I'll say as we sit here today. I do not think a trade of Ketel Marte is inevitable. It's $92.5 million owed to him after this season over the course of the remainder of his contract. It is one of the best players in the sport, one of the best second basemen in the game. So that's going to drive a high bargain. Remember, this front office gave him an extension in April, so they love the player that he is, warts and all. And what's easier, everybody? Is it easier to trade the guy that's got $92.5 million and you're going to need a huge return for? Or is it easier to fire the manager who's only got one more year left on his deal and to try it with somebody else first before you trade Ketel Marte? Everything is colliding here. It's coming to a head to where I don't think Torrey can survive this. I don't think Torrey can be the manager of this team next year. And I don't think this is all on him. Ketel does share some blame in this. But somebody has to be accountable. And I just don't think it's going to be, I think Ketel is going to be held accountable. But I don't think he's going to be traded as the way that he's being held accountable.
But when you have a report like this come out, you're right. Just something needs to change. You can't say everything's okay, have something like this come out, and it wasn't one story now. Now it's lingering. Now the national media is getting involved.
Yeah.
It's become really big and now in your face. You can't just roll into next year and say everything's okay.
Right. You can't just pretend it doesn't exist. This isn't going to go away. It's out there now. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, however we want to phrase it. You can't undo this. And so something has to change here. Because if you keep Ketel, if you keep Torrey, and you just run it back in 2026, how are we supposed to think that anything's different? That there's going to be accountability? Again, I try to be careful here, and I want to emphasize this. Ketel Marte is a great baseball player. The Diamondbacks are better off having Ketel Marte on their team. And I do think there's a way they can fix this. That they can tell Ketel, hey, dude, we get it. You're going to need time off. We don't expect you to play 162. That's not the way baseball is played this year or, in this era. But an important game in the end of the season, could you be there for that? We can deal with everything else. I can accept maybe needing a couple of days after the All-Star break. I can accept that. Can I accept a game at the end of the year? Can I accept you missing some important moments for this team? That's hard. And it's hard when you don't see the accountability. Now, apparently there was that private meeting where frustrations were aired. What came of it? I don't know.
My other question is, you have that private meeting. There still needs to be you don't play today. Or to me, there just needs to be something a step further, a benching, something to set the tone. I don't know if that meeting sets the tone for what's going on.
Especially when he was in the lineup the next day. There was no accountability. So he continues to think that he can just do this. And if you're Ketel Marte, right? Is there a problem?
No, if every time I do this, I'm going to get a talking to, but play the next day, what do I care?
They don't seem to be really mad about it. It's not, they're making it seem like it's a big deal, but it's not actually a big deal because they're not doing anything about it. And so that's why I don't want to put this all on Ketel. This is an organizational thing. It's a coaching thing. Ketel does share some responsibility. We could go a third. Organization, coaching, Ketel. Everybody shares blame in this. Somebody's got to be the mature leader and step up and say, how are we going to fix this? And I don't know who that person is going to be. I don't know where that's going to come from. It may have to come from a new, fresh voice that starts holding everybody accountable. So for those of you out there who have been waiting to drag me to this point, drag me to a managerial change, producer Evan, Brian, bunch of you, just trying to just pull me here, just try to get me into this place. This is the thing that's going to bring me there because this is a culture problem. And you can't play. In other sports, your talent can maybe override a bad culture. You can't, in this sport, 162, you're on the road. It's 8 months of the year, you just cannot have a bad culture. And this feels like it could be a bad culture.
Spending 162 games with people, if you are in a bad locker room, it shows. It's not hard to see it. There's been plenty of talented teams who won't make the playoffs because they have bad culture.
And so you have to fix this. You can't fix it right now. You can't fix it over the next month and a half. But this offseason, there's going to have to be a reset in the way they deal with all of this. So do I think a move is inevitable? No, I think this franchise, especially one that just paid him a lot of money in April, they are going to try to do everything else before they trade Ketel Marte. That's just my opinion on it. Too good of a player to let him just walk. Because if you make a trade for Ketel Marte, you're getting the bad end of the deal. There's no two ways about it. You get the worst end of that deal. Little buy or sell, a very rapid edition of buy or sell when we come back, as we'll wrap up hour number 1 here on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alessio is your hub for everything high school and college sports. Join Vince and friends as they give you the full picture on student athletes and where they're heading. Live interviews with coaches across the valley.
Asking some of the tough questions.
Varsity recaps and in-depth interviews with tomorrow's sports stars. The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alessio. Live every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
The Offspring. Supercharged worldwide in 25. One unforgettable summer night. The Offspring, live in Phoenix. With special guests, Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory. Playing Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater August 27th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. 3 great bands. 1 incredible show. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
Fargo, your virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can in the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Fargo is only available on the smartphone versions of the Wells Fargo mobile app. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
Every day, savings, energy efficiency, rebates. Every day at APS, you have ways to save energy and money. We know how important it is to keep your bill as low as possible. That's why we offer programs to help you manage your energy use. Schedule a home energy checkup for savings recommendations tailored to your home. Find rebates on smart thermostats. Compare your rate plan options and switch to the plan that would have saved you the most money. Find ways to save at aps.com/brighter.
Hi, I'm Dustin, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. If you're shopping for an engagement ring, we want you to feel like a kid in a candy store. All of our diamonds are in stock, in-store and online, so you get to use your eyes, not your imagination. Come in and look at marquee-shaped diamonds right next to ovals and pears. As your friend and jeweler, you can trust you'll get your dream diamond at an everyday competitive price. We have the widest selection in-store and at shaneco.com, because a friend knows choosing a diamond is personal. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
James Out West, your home for sports down here in the desert. Join James and Pat the Stat Guy as they recap the weekend and dive deep into the numbers for the NFL, NBA, college sports, and more.
That's 5 seasons of 1,200 yards.
Player stats, team numbers, and contracts are just the start of the discussion for James and Pat.
He started 815 career games. He threw 749 complete games.
There's no hiding when it comes to stats. It's James Out West every Monday night from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Back to wrap up hour number 1 here on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060. Got to do buy or sell. Hottest takes in sports talk radio. Producer Evan has them. Now, I want to pull everybody behind the curtain for just a second, because we're fighting an uphill battle today. Producer Evan's headphones in the first segment just completely went AWOL. So when he turns his microphone on in his studio, he can't hear me. Right now he can hear me because he doesn't have his microphone on. But when he turns his microphone on in that studio, it takes away all of the noise. So we can't hear anything I say. So we're trying to not step on each other today. We try not to do that in general. But if it happens, we at least hear it and we can get out of the way. He's not going to know. So Wish us luck as we do buy or sell. This is the perfect segment for us to step on each other. We're going to try not to. I now pass it to you.
Yeah, I'm really just kind of watching you. As I start to see your lips move, I just kind of butt out and turn off my mic. Ordered new headphones on Amazon, by the way. Going to be here by the end of the day. Ready for that?
You mean in the building by the end of the day or your house?
My house.
Okay.
The D-backs could still be competitive in 2026, even if they trade Ketel Marte.
No, sell this. No, you can't trade one of your two best players on your team. This is a guy who's a top 20 player in baseball. He's the best second baseman in all of the sport. I mean, he is that good with what he's been doing as of late. You don't trade that player and still have a chance.
Almost kind of a 2-in-1 there, because my thought was, by asking that question, it almost asks about the return too. Do you think it could be major league ready players?
It could be. Let me tell you what none of those players are going to be.
Ketel Marte.
Exactly. None of those players are Ketel Marte. This is the Peter Griffin mystery box. When he gets the boat, he's offered the mystery box. Well, the mystery box could be anything. It could be a boat. Sure. How about you just take the boat you have? You have Ketel Marte. Sure, the mystery box. It could be Ketel Marte. You've already got Ketel Marte.
I would be willing to give up multiple first-round picks for Trey Hendrickson.
Ooh, multiple first-round picks for Trey Hendrickson. I will sell this. I'll give you a 1. I may give you a day 2 pick, probably a 3rd. But if I'm giving up multiple first-round picks, Michael Parsons better be a part of my franchise.
Would you do 2 firsts for Hendrickson and maybe a 3rd back?
No, I wouldn't. By the way, I hope everyone is in on the bit of why we're saying Michael Parsons and not Micah Parsons. I hope everybody's in on the bit. Just in case Jerry Jones accidentally, or maybe, I don't know, purposeful, I don't know, called him that.
At this point, it's not accidental. He's done it 30 times.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great that he keeps doing it. So we thought we would get in on the fun. But yeah, I would trade 2 first-round picks and more for Micah Parsons. I would not do so for Trey Hendrickson. No.
Trading Ketel Marte puts too much pressure on Corbin Carroll.
Trading Ketel Marte puts too much pressure on Corbin Carroll. Sell. I believe in Corbin Carroll's makeup as a player.
That's why you put his one on layaway for 6 months.
That's right.
Because you believe in him.
That's right. I'll tell you this, though.
If the Cardinals do add Trey Hendrickson, their win total would probably go up by at least a game.
They trade for Trey Hendrickson, their win total goes up by a game. I don't know if Trey Hendrickson is a 1-win player in the National Football League when we've only got 17. Makes them a better team. I mean, they're favored in a bunch of their games early in the season. I think it's just going to make them heavier favorites. So I will sell this take.
Last one. The Bears can compete in the NFC North.
This is overreacting to social media clips to a whole new extreme. I know Caleb Williams looked good over the weekend. I know everyone's ready to anoint Ben Johnson as the next Sean McVay. I get it, everybody. Just hold your horses. Talk to me in week 6 if you feel the same. I'm going to sell that take for right now. But it was impressive over the weekend. It was impressive. Hour number 1 on the program in the books. Hour number 2 right around the corner. Are we about to see a seismic change to the baseball game as we know it? That's next. The lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Class is back in session, and so is Phoenix Rising. Celebrate the start of the school year on Saturday, August 23rd at 7:30 p.m. as Phoenix Rising takes on Colorado Springs in the back-to-school match. It's a night for students, families, and fans of all ages to come together and kick off the new season in style. Tickets start at just $15. Grab yours now at phxrisingfc.com. New school year, same rising energy.
It's time to head back to school and forward to your future with Carrington College. For For over 55 years, we've helped train the next generation of healthcare professionals. Apply now to get hands-on training from teachers with real-world experience. In as few as 9 months, you could start making a difference in healthcare. Classes start soon in Phoenix, Glendale, Mesa, and Tucson. Visit carrington.edu to see what's next for you. Visit carrington.edu/SCI for information on program outcomes.
I'm Wendy.
I'm Cameron.
And we're the Blair family. Being a realtor, I've toured many properties, many builders. I was coming with my husband to preview some homes for a client. And when we walked into Fulton Homes, we were blown away by the quality and the floor plans and the functionality. The quality of Fulton Home community is spectacular. They take such good care of the landscaping and the grounds.
We love the amenities. We love the pool. The whole clubhouse pool area is just massive. We love all the green.
Everything is green. It's just beautiful. You drive in and you can see that right off the bat. As far as the homes, it's just a solid build.
We've built 4 houses. Fulton was by far the best experience that we've had so far in building a house.
We definitely would recommend Fulton to all of our friends and family.
Fulton Homes. You're proud to own, we're proud to build.
Right now at Mark Kia in Scottsdale, receive a 0% APR for up to 72 months on a brand new 2025 Kia Niro EV. 0%. Or you can take advantage of $12,500 in current cash incentives on the 2025 Kia EV6 and 2026 EV9.
Take advantage of this offer on our electric vehicles while we have a great selection and before these offers expire later this year.
The name to remember, Mark Kia, Mark Kia.
At Sprouts, you'll find healthy around every corner and tasty on every shelf. And you know what's even more delicious? With our new Sprouts Rewards, you can earn points, explore member-only perks and personalized offers, and enjoy savings. Download the Sprouts app to join today.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Hour number 2 of the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Appreciate you being here. Hour number 2 of the program. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Was up north, softball tournament, Prescott. Beautiful. Like 50, 60 at night, 80 during the day. It was a blast. It was nice to get out of the 100 plus down here and be up there for the weekend. Last night, Major League Baseball had their Little League Classic between the Seattle Mariners and the New York Mets, the third game of their series. They played the first 2 at Citi Field. The last one there in Williamsport, PA, had all the Little League teams and players in attendance for that game, and such a cool atmosphere. It's one of the better things that baseball does throughout the calendar, these one-offs at these different places, and they've made Williamsport a regular every year stop, and it's cool. It's a ballpark, minor league facility that holds 2,500 people. Everything feels close. Everybody's right there. Juan Soto was getting involved in the fun last night. Producer Evan, I don't know how much of the game you watched, but Soto hasn't been doing the Soto shuffle this year. The kids were chanting for it. Kids were starting a Soto shuffle chant, and then he pulled it out.
It was so fun to see. Did you see the clip of the kid right behind home lose his mind when he did it? It was so fun.
Yeah, just a really cool environment and a really cool atmosphere. And they had little leaguers on the broadcast asking questions of Sean Manaea, who joined the game. But they were also joined by the commissioner of the sport, Rob Manfred. And in course of discussing what they have going on, what they're doing here, the future was brought up. And I have 2 clips that I want to share with you. We don't always bring you audio here on the show, but I thought Rob Manfred said some things that were really interesting and I know are going to bother some of you. They are going to bother a lot of old school baseball fans, these 2 clips. But first, this is Rob Manfred on the current state of the MLB's TV contracts. I do enjoy that we're discussing very important Major League Baseball future things. And this broadcast is like in the bleachers and there's just people around them and you can hear the noise. You can hear how close everything is. And we're discussing very important matters and there's just players around them, Little League players around them. But Rob Manfred playing it very close to the chest there, not giving too much away, hoping that they can get these deals done because he wants to take baseball to become a national sport again. He wants to take the local television rights and he wants to make national money. Now, he's not going to get football money. I don't even think he's going to get basketball money, but he wants to maximize the amount of dollars that Major League Baseball is able to make by selling their package to everybody. Well, Rob Manfred might have given away the way he thinks he can get there because expansion was brought up. And this isn't the first time that we've heard Rob Manfred mention this, but this got a lot of people talking last night because maybe they didn't hear him say this in the past, but Rob Manfred said, oh, we could geographically realign this sport. Let me make it very clear. Without saying it out loud, Rob Manfred is trying to do away with the National and American leagues. He is trying to go to an East-West format. Get ready to see Boston, Philadelphia, and both New York teams in the same division. To see those teams in the same league, East versus West. And I know that there's a lot of old school baseball fans who believe in this sport's history, that believe in not changing too much. Let me be the bearer of bad news here. He is 100% correct. And I know Rob Manfred loves to be, or tends to be a punching bag for many baseball fans. He doesn't really love it, kind of pokes fun at it. But everybody loves to use Rob Manfred as a punching bag in terms of the commissioners in sports. The way he handled the Astros situation, calling the trophy a piece of metal. Earlier this year, we talked about him being told to get the bleep out of the Phillies clubhouse by Bryce Harper and how bad of a look that was. But he's right here. He is right that baseball needs to look at this big picture. That by focusing on just these local individual markets hasn't grown the game the way that it needs to. You want owners to spend more money? You want owners to try more? Now, I know these teams already spend a lot of money, but you put Boston, Philly, the two New York teams in the same division, they're going to have to spend a lot of money to compete. Those are the types of matchups that national broadcast partners are going to want. You put those teams in the same division, and what is it now? You play everybody in your division 13 times throughout the course of the year? Imagine going to a TV partner and saying, hey, we can guarantee you 13 Red Sox-Yankees games, 13 Red Sox-Mets games, 13 Phillies-Red Sox games, 13 Mets-Yankees games, 13 Phillies-Mets games. A national media partner would be all over that. Apple TV, Netflix, ESPN, you name it, they're going to want a piece of that pie. Just like in the NBA, there's that West Coast game that starts at 10 o'clock on the East Coast, 7 o'clock for all of us out here. That's when normally the Suns play. If they're a nationally televised game, guess what? You're going to see a lot of Angels-Dodgers in that window. You're going to see a lot of Angels-Padres, Padres-Dodgers. You're going to see a lot of these great, good baseball teams compete against each other more often. Producer Evan wanted to punch me in the face this morning when I supported this. But if Rob Manfred wants to cash in and wants to make the big bucks. And by the way, I know he rubs a lot of people the wrong way with the salary cap stuff. It is his job to represent the owners. It is his job to do what they want him to do. He's also supposed to do what is best for the game, but he's employed by the owners. And it is his job to put more money in their pockets. And the easiest way to do that is to get a big pot of national television revenue. This is the way to do it. This is the way that you get there. You get there by putting the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Phillies, the Red Sox, the Mets, the Yankees all in the same division. Putting the Dodgers, the Padres, the Angels, maybe the Mariners, the Astros. You put those teams all in the same division. All on the same ledger, East and West. And now you have the early window and the late window. And by doing it geographically, are you going to want to have them sometimes play the other conference, the other league? Of course. It's just going to be few and far between, just like it is in the East and West. You play everybody in the NBA, but you play everybody in the other conference twice. One at your place, one at their place. That's basically what it's going to be. You're going to play a handful of games, maybe one series. One year it'll be their place. The next year it'll be at your place. And you're going to get these high-profile matchups that the national TV audience is going to want to gobble up. And, oh, by the way, you're going to make them take, hey, you got to take Diamondbacks, Mariners as part of that and put that in the late window. And now everybody wins. Everybody gets some money.
I heard they're going away with series, too. Everybody's just going to play one game. They're not going to play the 3. But that's – obviously I'm kidding on that, but that is the type of seismic change this is. It is massive. I mean, to change leagues, baseball's been played for hundreds and hundreds of years. I would like to know the date on the American League and the National League. I mean, it could be 200 years old.
Baseball is a sport that is rooted in its history, more so than any of the other professional sports. I get that. It's like talking to a wall sometimes, trying to change this sport. And I am the first person to love the history of this game, the statistics, and the way this game, the story can be told by just looking back in history. But this sport that I love, is broken right now. What's going on in Pittsburgh is broken. What's going on in Miami is broken. What's going on in Tampa is broken. Sacramento, Oakland, Las Vegas, broken. You have teams not trying. Chicago, one of the biggest markets in this country. The White Sox, laughingstock, broken. Colorado, broken. Colorado is a market that would spend money to support their team. They've got to put a product on the field worth supporting, but they don't have to because of the way the financial system is set up in baseball right now. And that's partially on the owners. And this luxury tax system just isn't working. So in order to change it, there's got to be some seismic change. There has to be a willingness to be bold. Do I know if this is going to get Rob Manfred the TV contract that he wants that's going to make the Pirates spend more or the White Sox spend more or the Rockies spend more? I don't know that for certain. I can't say that. But I can say that getting more money for the sport is going to be a good thing. You have to set up a good financial model. I'm sorry, I know the players don't like it. A salary cap is what this sport needs because they need a salary floor. They need something that forces these teams to spend to a certain level, that forces Pittsburgh to spend, that forces Colorado to spend, that forces the White Sox to spend, that forces the Marlins and the Rays and the A's to spend money. And you can make it a super high floor if you want. And you can make it a super high salary cap if you want. But you need to do something to force these owners to spend more money than they currently are. And in order to do that, you also need to put more money in their pockets. This TV deal would be the way to do it. Have I convinced you? You were very against this in the morning meeting.
Gosh, listen, sign me up for not playing the Braves every year. But it's one of those things where, gosh, I mean, the teams to have a realignment like that is so big.
You said
the alignment.
What did you say? A realignment.
The alignment.
Not real. So this is
the alignment.
That's just alignment. This is a realignment. Those are two different things. Okay, sorry. Go on.
No, but they are realigning like the Suns are. Massive changes up front. And to have a division that would be New York, Boston, Philadelphia, be awesome in the grand scheme of things. It'd be really, really cool. But Then you're going to play East-West. And I know part of the argument is, well, we already got rid of or went to universal DH. So there's no difference between the American and National League. But how do you do the All-Star game? I mean, everything changes.
Sure, but from a geographical perspective, I mean, you can envision it, right? You put the Yankees, the Mets, the Phillies, the Red Sox, Blue Jays.
Also, why did we get the Red Sox, not the Orioles?
And Boston's a big market. I mean, that's the reason there. But you put the Blue Jays in there. Okay, that's that division, right? You can do Baltimore, Washington, Pittsburgh. You can do Cleveland. Cleveland, Ohio's pretty close. You can put them in there. And maybe if you put a team in North Carolina, you can part of expansion.
If they do expand, where do they go?
Nashville's a popular one, so Nashville would work for that division that I just outlined. Portland is a team they've considered. I don't know. This is my forced acknowledgement that Montreal should be on the list.
People talk about Salt Lake, I've heard.
It's another one that they could use. But it's this type of thinking that's going to solve baseball's financial problem. And you have to be willing to embrace. See, we did this a couple months ago with the Golden at Bat idea, right? The home run derby at the All-Star game. You have to be willing to talk out the crazy ideas. You have to be willing to say, hey, what about this? And if it's not the answer, it might get you close to the answer by talking it out loud. I'm sure there are reasons not to do this. At first glance, when he said it last night and I started thinking about it and I saw a piece this morning realigning the divisions, I was like, this could work. I'd like this. I think this would be a good idea. I'm sure there are plenty of reasons not to do it. But the important thing is that we talk about these crazy ideas. We throw these things up against the wall. You can't be stuck in the way the sport was in the 1990s, in the 1960s. Sports have to evolve. Every other sport is evolving. Baseball is slowly starting to get there. To me, this type of seismic change would be a good thing for baseball. But they have to, more importantly, solve their financial situation, and they have two sides that are not getting along right now. I'll tell you, the first time we brought this up in the morning meeting, producer Evan said to me, be prepared for 2 years of not playing baseball because the players were going to be against this. Now, I don't know if I'll go that far. I do think that we are threatening at least losing the 2027 season, but they have to be willing to discuss these, you may think outlandish, crazy ideas, because even if it's not these ideas that get utilized, maybe by talking it out, we get to the place where this sport is fixed and going in the right direction and is on good, sound financial footing with a good TV deal that puts money into these owners' pockets so that they spend it on their team, so that the payrolls in Pittsburgh, in Colorado, in Chicago, in Miami, in Tampa go up. So I know, maybe outlandish, maybe seismic, but I heard it last night and I was on board. 480-864-1060 is the phone number for you to join us here today on the program. We've also got you over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. When we come back, it is the final week of our NFC West Power Rankings. It's our last group on the defensive side. The safeties. We'll do them next. It's the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
Attention all clones. The Jim Rome Show is here for you every day here on KDUS AM 1060.
Lots to get done. Welcome to the program.
Listen in as Rome dives into the biggest sports headlines of the day. From final scores, player contracts and trades, team prospects, and even a spicy take or two. The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. every weekday here on KDUS AM 1060.
That's the trick.
Online at KDUS1060.com and on the KDUS 1060 app.
As the old saying goes, size matters.
At Morgan & Morgan, we have over 1,000 lawyers and nearly 6,000 people on staff.
But at the core, this is and always has been a family business.
Our family watching out for your family.
Call us or email us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on a Saturday or a Sunday.
And if you ever have a problem, call our mom.
Morgan & Morgan.
For the people and your family.
Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
It's Halloween time, and the Disneyland Resort's 70th celebration is here. Spooky delights are brewing with spine-tingling cheer A pinch of pumpkin, a dash of fright, a flicker of joy to paint the night. Watch as a giant Mickey pumpkin, headless horsemen and happy haunts have a ball. Cars Land becomes Radiator Screams. Plus, there are seasonal favorites like Haunted Mansion Holiday and Guardians of the Galaxy, Monsters After Dark. Enjoy tricks, treats, and a ghostly invitation. This happy Halloween, join the Disneyland Resort 70th celebration. Halloween time, August 22nd through October 31st. Visit Disneyland.com or contact your travel advisor for important details.
I got my first real six-string.
Brian Adams, Roll with the Punches Tour 2025. A night full of hits, live at PHX Arena, Saturday, November 15th. With special guest Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo. Get tickets now at LiveNation.com.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The Patriots may have found another one. A scrappy, shifty, bring your lunch pail to work slot receiver. His name is Efton Chisholm. Undrafted rookie, he followed Cooper Kupp's footsteps at Eastern Washington, broke some records along the way, found himself battling for a roster spot in New England. 12 catches, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. Later, maybe it's Julian Edelman 2.0, Wes Welker reborn, maybe even a touch of Danny Amendola. I know it's only preseason. Context matters. Defenses aren't scheming, coaches are experimenting, and stats in August don't usually translate to Sundays in the fall. Still, there's something about the way he plays. Tough, reliable, always open. That feels very familiar to the Patriot fans. For a team searching for steady weapons around Drake May, Chisholm's emergence is worth noting. He may not be a star yet, but if history tells us anything, New England may have stumbled onto May's security blanket for years to come. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. If you played pickleball in regular sneakers, you know you can pay the price. They don't cut it. And Todd found this out the hard way. We have this great sponsor, Tyrell. They make the best pickleball shoes. So one day Todd is playing pickleball and he forgot his Tyrell pickleball shoes. Well, you know what happened? He got hurt. He was playing in some fancy different shoes that aren't meant for pickleball, and he learned a lesson. Tyrell has everything you need to keep your feet cool. They're tough. They're lightweight. They're so solid on your feet, and you're going to wear and tear on the court, and they're ready to go. Every detail is built to help you play better. Tyrell pickleball shoes. If you want to play longer, feel better, and stop sliding around in those old sneakers, go to TyrellPickleball.com. You can look like a pro. You can play like a pro. It's Tyrell pickleball shoes. You spell it Tyrol. Tyrell pickleball shoes, the best pickleball shoes, purpose-built for pickleball.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KTUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
Back here on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060. Appreciate you joining us here today on the program. It is our power rankings of the NFC West. We've been doing this for week and a half now, going position by position. And this is our last position on the defensive side of the ball. It is our safeties. Now, as things stand right now going into this group and one more group, we have special teams, which we'll do tomorrow. And then that will give us the numerical number of who is the best in the division. And the way this works is you want to be the number one team, obviously. You get 1 point for doing so. You get 4 points for being in last. You want the lowest score possible. As we go into the final two groups, The Rams are leading the charge with 16 total points. The 49ers are in second. They have 18 total points. The Cardinals are in third with 19 total points. And Seattle bringing up the rear, 23 total points. The way this works, I have my top four in the order. Producer Evan has his top four. If we agree, then that team goes into that spot. If we don't agree, we take an average, and then we divvy up the points the way that we need to at the end. Whose turn is it to go first?
I think it's your turn.
All right. I'll go first. My number 4 team in this division for safeties is the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I won't lie. I think you can flip 3 and 4. I think there's a clear – the divide here in this division with this position group is 3 and 4. I think you can flip, and 1 and 2 are separate in a big way from 3 and 4, in my mind.
I think that's the way it goes. 1 is pretty clear. 2 is pretty clear. 3 or 4, flip a coin.
And I also think that 1 and 2 are both like multiple tiers above where I would put 3 and 4.
I agree. I would call 1 and 2, like their room, a strength compared to 3 or 4 as a weakness.
100% agree. So at number 4, I have the Los Angeles Rams. They're starting Cam Curl, Cameron Kitchens, 2 solid players, but there is no, I think, wow factor there. There is no top safety in the game type player that I think 2 other teams in this division have. There are 2 teams in this division that I think have safeties that could be top 15, top 20 at that position, maybe top 10 at that position. One, you know who, because he plays for this team. And the other one is a player that's just not talked about enough. I think he could be a top 10 safety in the sport. And so that's how good I think the 2 teams up in this division are. I just don't feel it with the Los Angeles Rams, so I have them at number 4.
Similar to you taking the Rams, I did have them flipped. I have the Niners at 4th. Like you said, there's just nobody in this room that I'm like, wow, that's an X factor. That's a difference maker. Gosh, it feels like the biggest weakness on their entire defensive side and arguably maybe their entire team.
I have San Francisco 3. So we flipped there. So I have it LA, San Francisco. You have it San Francisco, LA. And with San Francisco, the difference for me is I like Jair Brown. I think he's a solid player. I think I like him better than Cam Curl and Cameron Kitchens. And so that was kind of the tiebreaker for me, just on personal preference. But I think both teams are really close. There is no standout player like we're going to talk about with the number 2 team, the Seattle Seahawks. Julian Love is a standout player.
He's a stud. He's a really, really good safety in this league. And then they're gonna make some changes out there, right? See, Kobe Bryant gonna play safety.
Yeah, so Julian Love and Kobe Bryant are who are listed on the depth chart that I'm looking at here at safety. And Kobe Bryant, a really good player that they drafted in the 4th round back in 2022, I believe out of the University of Cincinnati. He was on the same defense as Sauce Gardner. It was Sauce on one side, it was Kobe Bryant on the other, if I am remembering the 2022 Cincinnati defense correctly. Producer Evan is frantically typing into the computer to see if I'm correct. I feel 90% confident.
Cincinnati.
I felt good about it. So he was on the one side, Sauce Gardner was on the other. That was part of that great Cincinnati team that was just
made the playoff.
Yeah, it was just fantastic that year. They're making him a safety here for this team, and him and Julian Love. Again, you've got that star power in Julian Love, who's been great. Was a top 5, I think top 10 PFF graded safety last year. So just really solid across the board. And the difference for me between putting the Seahawks 2 and the Cardinals 1 is I just think Budda Baker is still one of the 5 best safeties, 6 best. I think we did this a couple weeks ago with Budda Baker and safeties, and we were kind of like, he could be right around the top 5. There's just so many good safeties at the top. But Budda is still really strong, and I think he's the best overall safety in this division. So I put Arizona at number 1.
I think that's kind of the clear-cut way to do this. And however you want to order Budda Baker, he's in the top 7 to 8, certainly. Some have him as high as 5, others have him as low as 8. It's not hard to see he's the best safety in this division, and that's a big reason why that the Cardinals are number 1. He is also their X factor on defense.
He is 100% leader of the defense, right? Culture setter of the defense. Just carries so many intangibles for this team. I was looking down because I'm doing the math here, because the way this is going to break down is Arizona is going to get the 1 point. Seattle is going to get the 2 points. And then the Rams and the 49ers are both going to get 3 points. We're not going to punish them because they tied. We're going to give them the 3 points. And we have a change. We have a change near the top. The Los Angeles Rams are in first place with 19 total points. The Arizona Cardinals have now flipped into second place with 20 points. In third place, the San Francisco 49ers with 21 points, and the Seahawks are bringing up the rear with 25 points. Now, I didn't put this list together in a way for it to come out this way, but right now as we go into special teams tomorrow, the Rams are 1, the Cardinals are 2, the 49ers are 3, the Seahawks are 4. That's kind of the way I see the division. And what did we say 2 weeks ago before we started this project? If the Rams don't have Matthew Stafford, the division is there for the taking for the Cardinals. And if we reordered quarterback right now and we put the Rams at the bottom and we moved everybody up, do you know what would happen? The Cardinals would be in first place right now before we did special teams. So you're kind of getting a hint on where things might be going when we do our predictions here before week 1 of the regular season. But it very much feels like a very competitive, very wide open division. We've got one more group to power rank, and then we'll have our numerical value of who the best team in the NFC West is. So special teams, kicker, punter, returner is the way we'll evaluate this. We'll do that on tomorrow's program. When we come back, your phone calls welcome at 480-864-1060. You can also join us over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. And hey, by the way, download the KDUS AM 1060 app. You have your chance to win 4 tickets to the Diamondbacks when they take on the Cincinnati Reds Friday, August 22nd. That is this Friday at Chase Field. It is Hispanic Heritage Weekend starting off on Friday, August 22nd. You got a post-game concert. There's meet and greet and concert field passes that are available. You can get your tickets for all of that at dbacks.com/SGT. We've got your chance to win 4 tickets for listening on the app or streaming at KDUS1060.com. When we come back, the Diamondbacks, do they have a toxic culture? That's next. Lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Join in on the Sports Zoo on your ride home from work with Dave Rooster Bierstein. Join Rooster as he lays down what's happening around sports and makes it clear what's on his mind.
Oh my.
Catch the day's craziest stories and some of the latest numbers from the sports books across the valley. The Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a wild option.
Weekdays 5 to 6 p.m. on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit Pfizerforall.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Boxes that are loaded with my faves.
Hell, big boxes, come on, can I get a deal, yeah?
Hell yeah!
What was that? Oh, I bring these guys everywhere. Really enhances the experience.
Del Taco's El Big Boxes now come with bigger burritos. Try the $5 Classico, $7 Mex Faves, and $9 Amerimex box. More food, more flavor, more value. Only at Del Taco.
Del, yeah!
Price of participation may vary.
Summer's here, and SRP wants to remind you that swim safety starts with W. That's right, W, as in Water Watcher. Keep pool time a good time by designating an adult who can swim and know CPR. Be sure they avoid distractions, always scan the swimming area, and ensure that the pool gate stays locked. Assigning a water watcher is a simple step to help prevent drownings and keep everyone safe around pools. To get more water safety tips, visit srp.net/pool.
Hi, Luis Gonzalez here. Want to bet? Feel the thrill of Casino Arizona with 1,400 of the hottest slots and nonstop table game action. We make winners, no experience necessary. Join us for the best bingo in the valley with daily sessions. Indulge in all-you-can-eat Eagles buffet or enjoying fine dining experience at the award-winning Choya Steakhouse. Enjoy top-notch local entertainment, tribute bands, and viewing parties at CAZ Sports Bar, just off the 101 in McKellips. Casino Arizona, uniquely Arizona.
This fall, choose Primavera Online, and you'll be choosing a school with flexibility, personalized support, and an award-winning curriculum that's over 20 years strong. Now enrolling grades K to 12 at chooseprimavera.com.
Lincoln Park. From Zero World Tour 2025. Live in
special guest Gene Dawson. Get tickets now at livenation.com. For more, visit lincolnpark.com.
Live the horror at Universal Studios Hollywood Halloween Horror Nights. Select nights September 4th to November 2nd. Face your fears in post-apocalyptic LA and a haunted house based on the hit show Fallout and more. Event not recommended for children under 13.
The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alicio is your hub for everything high school and college sports. Join Vince and friends as they give you the full picture on student athletes and where they're heading. Live interviews with coaches across the valley.
Asking some of the tough questions.
Varsity recaps and in-depth interviews with tomorrow's sports stars. The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alicio. Live every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
We opened the show today breaking down a bad weekend for the Arizona Diamondbacks, not just on the diamond, but off of it. As the Ketel Marte story continues to just grow legs, and it is a story that I don't see going away anytime soon, at least until there's a resolution one way or another. I think we would all agree the potential outcomes here are Torey Lovullo going because of this, Ketel Marte going because of this, both going because of this. The one thing I don't think, at least right now, many of us think is on the table as a potential option is nothing happening. That there is this attempt to pretend that this can just move on and continue. So until one of those other three options happen, we're going to be surrounded by this. It's going to be a cloud that hovers over this ball club. We may not discuss it every day. There may not be anything new to it. We had that initial blitz last week, the story in AZ Central, the Bob Nightingale piece, Geraldo Perdomo's passionate defense of Ketel Marte over the weekend. That was the initial flurry. This is going to quiet down in terms of the daily updates, the daily changes to this story, but that does not mean it goes away. It does not mean that it is not going to be storyline, talking point of order number one this offseason for this franchise. Forget about what they're going to do at first base. Forget about what they're going to do at third base. Forget about how they're going to piece together this rotation next season. Forget about all of that. Before they spend a single free agent dollar this offseason, before they even consider another move, they have to determine what they are doing with Ketel Marte. Because if for just a second they are considering listening to offers for Ketel Marte and they are closer to moving him this winter, that changes the timeline completely. That takes away my thought of 2026 potentially being a surprising year for this team where they can hover around the wild card, be competitive, maybe soft buy at the deadline, and give it a run in August and September with real big eyes set on 2027. You trade Ketel Marte, that's gone. Take that off the table. You've reset. I don't even know if you're going to be ready to compete in 2027. Ketel Marte is one of the best players in all of baseball. You don't just make that decision and it not send ripple waves through the rest of your organization. Now, I tend to believe that the front office that gave Ketel Marte an extension in April is going to want to keep him around. And so I don't think right now as we sit here that that's what they want to do, but they have to make that determination one way or another. Because there's two different visions. There's a vision with Ketel Marte where we're still trying to compete in 2026. We're really trying to go for it in 2027, but we've still got a window here. We've still got talent. We still have a team that can be relevant. Where the flip side is a team without Ketel Marte. A team without one of the best second basemen in all of baseball. One of the best overall players in all of baseball. a massive hole at second base that now needs to be filled. And perhaps one of the young players could fill it. Perhaps Tommy Troy could play there. Perhaps one of the young prospects they have in the pipeline alongside Tommy Troy could fill that role. But you just don't know. And it is a huge vacancy to fill. Not a lot of players hitting 280 to 300 with that type of pop, playing that type of defense, being that valuable as a player. Not many guys that are MVP candidates the way Ketel Marte was for a large stretch of the 2024 season, for a large stretch of 2023. Those players aren't just readily available for you to just replace Ketel Marte with another MVP caliber player. You can't just go down to the convenience store and say, I'd like another MVP candidate, please. Doesn't work that way. You make this decision, you alter the course of your franchise. That's what's at stake here over the next month and a half. So while we may not have daily updates here, this is going to be something that bubbles. And so the question before the break was, do the Diamondbacks have a toxic culture? I don't think so right now. I worry, though, what may happen here over the final month and a half. Am I crazy for being worried about what might happen here over the next month and a half? If this team continues to lose, while this story continues to linger, am I crazy for wondering if things are going to get worse here over the next month and a half? Now, maybe what Geraldo Perdomo said yesterday is the truth. And maybe Geraldo Perdomo is speaking for the vast majority of that clubhouse. And as the clubhouse leader, as the de facto captain of the team, his voice does carry a lot of weight in all of this. And so for at least just this moment, I don't know how long it's going to last. If you want to take the glass half full approach, then you point to Geraldo Perdomo's comments and you say this is not that big of a deal. That we are making more of this than there actually is going on behind closed doors. That maybe there have been some issues in the past, but if Geraldo Perdomo is defending Ketel Marte the way that he is, that it is not that big of a deal. I hope, if that's how you feel today, that you end up being right. But I worry that this is going to get a lot worse before we get to a resolution here in the offseason. You can't put this toothpaste back in the tube. You've had two different reporters talk about the frustration. Nick Pecoro, his story focused more on players that were frustrated. The way I felt coming out of the Bob Nightingale piece, the little blurb that he had about there being a meeting where frustrations were being aired, him not being paid when he was placed on the restricted list. That felt more like coaching, upper management, front office. Now you've got everybody involved in all of this. So in the course of a couple of days, this thing just kind of spiraled out of control. And I don't know when it is going to get better. And it will not get better, at least in our eyes, until you see a change, until something changes. Manager, player, both. But neither. If nothing changes, you're always going to wonder. You're always going to wonder if something else is going on. The case for getting rid of both guys is now you know there cannot be any more problems with those two guys. You know Ketel Marte, Torey Lovello's handling of Ketel Marte can't be a problem because they're both not here.
I also think you can't imagine a world where you just get rid of Ketel Marte. You don't think people are still going to be upset with Torey Lovello and how it was handled?
I have long said that if you're going to move one, you need to move both. And the one you can't just move is Ketel. I don't think they're moving Ketel. I really don't. I know that they're going to listen. I don't think they're moving Ketel Marte. I'm still going to believe in the front office that gave him the extension. I'm still going to believe that it's much easier to change the messenger at the manager position than it is to move a player with that kind of money, that length of the contract, trying to get, because you're going to try to maximize the return. And you're going to have all these teams that say, well, he's a problem. He's a diva. That's the only reason why you're moving him. And they're going to want to lower that asking price. So what's a fair return for Ketel Marte? Can you even get a fair return for Ketel Marte? All of these are questions that Mike Hazen and this front office have to answer when it is much easier. Because before all of this, a lot of you wanted Torey Lovello gone. A lot of you didn't want to see him come back even though he's got one more year left on his deal. He's going to be a lame duck manager anyway. And we wondered aloud, this is kind of awkward. I know they've been in this spot before, but are they really going to have him be a lame duck into 2025 or into 2026, I should say? Are they going to have him? You can't extend him with the way things have gone the last couple of years. So you're going to have him go into next year? That's kind of awkward. Is this the exit ramp? Is all of this, and I'm not putting it all on Torey Lovullo, but he does have some blame in this. Is this the exit ramp that the franchise needs to get a new voice in there?
It has to be. This isn't just, we've talked about the season. This season, partially due to injury, blown games and everything, it's a failure. And I'm not putting all of the failure on Torey Lovullo. But back-to-back seasons with high expectations and the highest payroll this organization and franchise has ever seen, you don't make the playoffs. And then on top of that, at the end of the second season, you have a story come out like this about your best player that involves you directly and how you have treated him and how the team feels like he's been able to get away with certain things.
You fix that by either removing the manager, removing the player, or doing both. To me, removing the player would be the third thing that I would do. I would remove the manager, or I would remove both of them before I just removed Ketel Marte from this squad.
Right now, I don't see a world where Torey Lovullo will be back to manage this team.
It's starting to feel that way with every passing day. Just feels like the only way they're going to get to put this behind them and it not, because again, if you do nothing, everyone's always going to wonder. So it's always going to follow you. You have to put this in the past, and I think the only way to do it is to move on from Torey Lovullo. And remember, this is coming from the guy who has been against this for a large stretch of the year. I just don't see a path out. This is the time to reset here a little bit and not make a seismic change by trading away your franchise player. 480-864-1060 is the phone number for you to join us here today on the program. We're also streaming over on our YouTube channel, on the TikTok live stream as well. And you would be shocked to know, Producer Evan, that the overwhelming thought on our TikTok live stream today, an audience that skews more younger over there, they want a managerial change. They would like Torey to be gone.
That blows me away.
Jay Bell over there says Torey needs to go. Yeah, I mean, I understand that sentiment today. I didn't agree with it at the beginning of the season. I didn't agree with it when we got to the All-Star break and the trade deadline. I've pushed against this. I can't defend this anymore. I can't give you a good reason because the one thing I was holding on to was the culture, the clubhouse. That's the reason why you don't remove the manager, because if the message is still resonating, then he's fine. There are cracks in that armor now. That opens the door. When we come back, it is all the stories that we didn't get to throughout the course of the program. We call them the leftovers. We'll get to them next. It's the lunch break. KDUS, AM 1060.
James Out West, your home for sports down here in the desert. Join James and Pat the Stat Guy as they recap the weekend and dive deep into the numbers for the NFL, NBA, college sports, and more.
That's 5 seasons of 1,200 yards.
Player stats, team numbers, and contracts are just the start of the discussion for James and Pat.
He started 815 career games. He threw 749 complete games.
There's no hiding when it comes to stats. It's James Out West every Monday night from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on KTUS AM 1060 and on the KTUS 1060 app.
The Mazda More to Move You sales event is going on now at Mark Mazda in Scottsdale. Right now, receive 1.9% financing for up to 60 months on the brand new 2025 Mazda CX-50 or CX-50 Hybrid.
Or receive $10,000 off the top of MSRP when you lease a brand new 2025 Mazda CX-70 or CX-90 plug-in hybrid. Think of how low your payment will be with those savings. Go to markmazdascottsdale.com.
The name to remember, Mark Mazda on approved credit plus $998 doc fee.
We're chatting with our guest, always safety first, 811 Megaphone Man.
Call 811 before you dig.
You never stray from your mission of letting homeowners, landscapers, and excavators know you should always call 811 before you dig.
Call 811.
Call for both small and big jobs. And 2 working days in advance?
811.
Any parting words? And I'm guessing they will be...
Call 811 before you dig.
Brought to you by Southwest Gas.
811.
Jack here. My Bonus Jack combo starting at $3.99 comes with fries, a drink, and a burger with 1, 2, or 3 patties. It's a meal that'll actually make you happy. Starting at $3.99. Get so much more.
Welcome to Jack in the Box.
Plus tax, limited time only. Price and participation may vary.
Oh, Mr. Gecko, is it true what they say about Geico's emergency roadside service?
I'll own up to it. Yes, it's all true.
You mean to say Geico's emergency roadside service really is 24/7?
And it's available on the phone or app. It's all part of getting more with Geico. I don't mean to be rude, but could I scooch past you all? You're standing in the way of my yoga class.
One more, Mr. Gecko, the fans must know. Why yoga?
Well, it helps with my posture. It's my back. It ain't what it used to be.
Get more than just savings. Get more with Geico.
Nitro Circus is back with the all-new Off the Rails Tour. World-class daredevils and FMX, BMX, skate, scooter, and more. Jaw-dropping stunts, high-flying tricks, and never-been-done showdowns. Friday, December 5th, Desert Diamond Arena. Visit Ticketmaster.com.
Attention all clones. The Jim Rome Show is here for you every day here on KTUS AM 1060.
Lots to get done. Welcome to the program.
Listen in as Rome dives into the biggest sports headlines of the day. From final scores, player contracts and trades, team prospects, and even a spicy take or two. The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. every weekday here on KTUS AM 1060.
That's the trick.
Online at KTUS1060.com and on the KTUS 1060 app.
Back here on the lunch break, KTUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert with you. We got one more before we're out of here on a Monday. It is the leftovers, all the stories we didn't get to throughout the course of the program. But before we do that, I was told in my ear during the break, this is all I was given. And we've got Brian, our good friend, on the line, and he has a quick one. I don't know what this is about. I have no idea what he wants to talk about. Brian, you kick us off here in the leftovers. What do you got?
Hey, sweet Chris. Yeah, quick one. The Diamondbacks. There's just no margin for error with our division that we're in. We just can't sneak through and get in the playoffs with a 500 record. But one aspect that I think I heard you say about Marte that needs to be emphasized. Did you say that he turns into a 10-5 player at the end of this year or next year?
So according to the Bob Nightingale story, it is a little way, I don't know the exact date, but a little way into next year, he becomes 10-5 eligible, which then allows him to veto any trade. Right now, the Diamondbacks can move him in the offseason wherever they want, but a little bit into the year, he can then veto trades.
Yeah, that needs to be taken into account. I was in Chicago way back when Theo first got to town, and he was working his magic, and Ryan Dempster had one of these, these veto power. And Theo had this awesome deal worked out with the Braves to move him. It would have, speeded up, the progression of the Cubs. And Dempster vetoed it and really just stunted everything. So coming off a veto and no trade, anytime you say no trade or veto power, it just shudders up my spine. So I think that needs to be factored into what you do with this guy going forward.
Yeah, of course. And Brian, appreciate the phone call. And I love what you said there at the top. It's not something that I considered, but the margin for error is slim. The Dodgers, does anybody think they're going anywhere anytime soon? The Padres, I know that they're not going to spend to the level that they've spent in the past, but they don't seem like they're going anywhere anytime soon, especially now with A.J. Preller at the helm. That's a dude that's going to always try to find a way. The Giants with Buster Posey now. I know they're having a bad year, but they're going to be a team that's going to spend money and always be in it. You don't have time to mess around with this type of nonsense. Now, let me make something very clear. I don't want to trade Ketel Marte right now. Maybe at some point in the winter, I become more open to it. But right now, Ketel Marte should not be moved this winter. But if you are worried that this is a problem that's not going to go away with a managerial change, that's not going to go away with a meeting that changes the way this stuff gets handled, then what Brian is talking about with those 10-5 rights, you get it when you accrue a certain number of service time in baseball. You then have the ability to veto trades. Then you run into, as Brian very rightly pointed out, the Bradley Beal situation. Now, it's a little different. Ketel Marte is a much better player than Bradley Beal is, and I do think there would be a market, but I understand the worry to be exactly in a spot where we were with Bradley Beal. So I appreciate Brian for the phone call.
The other thing I'll say before we kind of move on from this is Bradley Beal is under one of the worst contracts in the NBA. Ketel Marte is pretty team friendly.
Right. Again, it's apples and oranges, really, right? It's maybe apples and wrenches. It's not very close. The Bradley Beal situation and the Ketel Marte situation. I get the no trade clause scaring everybody, but Ketel Marte much more movable than Bradley Beal. The problem with Bradley Beal,
getting into the leftovers. So the Reds yesterday walked off on the Brewers to end their 14-game win streak. That was the most in their franchise's history.
a Milwaukee team that's just playing some really good ball. Streak came to an end. There's just the looming question of, can they do it in the postseason, right? I think everybody is seeing them have regular season success and saying, yeah, we've seen this before. Maybe not exactly to this level, but we know Pat Murphy, good manager. We know you can lose Corbin Burns. Doesn't matter. Small market. Doesn't matter. You are a really smart organization that's going to find a way. We get that. But where you haven't been able to find a way is in the playoffs. You haven't been able to go on that deep run. You've always tripped up. Got tripped up by the Diamondbacks a couple years ago in 23. Got tripped up by the Mets last year. Had them on the ropes. You were going to move on. You were a good team last year. Couldn't get it done. So you've got to break through that ceiling, and you've got to show people. I think for many, it is, I don't care what you do in the regular season. You've got to cross that line in the postseason for me to start to believe.
It does feel a little different this year. They just feel better than ever. And it's one of those teams where it's like, I don't really know where a lot of their run producing comes from. I know they just do it. And so I don't know. If there was a year, this just feels like the Brewers this is their year. This is the year they make the deep run. A lot of storylines over there. Obviously, Bob Uecker had passed away this year, so doing it for him.
Just to go back to the Diamondbacks thing for a second. So 10-5 rights, you have to have 10 years of service time in baseball. And then you also need to spend 5 years with a specific team. Ketel Marte, at least according to Fangraphs, has 8.162 years of service time. Now, if I remember correctly, service time gets added on at the end of the year, if I remember correctly. So he'll get to, I think, 9 years of service time at the end of this year. And then he'll be right there on the cusp of getting to 10, which would then trigger the 10-5 rights.
The service time always is a little odd because I don't really know how it works. If you're on the IL, do you get service time?
Yes, I think you accrue service time. If you're on the big league IL, I think you accrue service time, yes.
Interesting. College football, Auburn will be formally retiring Cam Newton's number 2, the national champion quarterback, and Heisman will have his number in the rafters in Auburn.
Feels about right.
Feels a little late, honestly.
Well, I mean, hold on now. I don't know about that.
Colorado was quick with with Shador.
That's not the standard that I think we all should aspire to emulate, okay?
It took a decade for Auburn. It took 20 minutes for Colorado.
Not the standard that I think other programs should be following.
Last one, the Dodgers at home this weekend swept the Padres to regain the lead of the National League West.
Say that again?
The Dodgers swept the Padres this weekend to regain lead of the NL West.
So this division is going to come down to the final day. I don't think we're going anywhere anytime soon.
I think it's fun, too, because they play again this upcoming weekend, and I really feel like the Padres could sweep that series.
And then we could be right back in the same spot. Yeah, going to be very back and forth here between these two teams the rest of the way. Appreciate you joining us here on the Monday edition of the program. Jim Rome, he's coming up next. He's got you for the next 3 hours. Producer Evan, thank you for all that you do. Hopefully new headphones tomorrow. Should be all good for that. Everybody, have a great rest of your Monday. Talk to you tomorrow. See you.